Today we're heading to Wilds of Eldraine Standard to see just how ridiculous Virtue of Courage can actually be in a burn deck that only costs 4 rares to put together. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. And we have a super sweet and super cheap one this week. We are heading to our new standard format to play 4 rare, I guess technically 4 mythic, but 4 rare, $40, 6 ticks Virtue of Courage burn. So let's talk about this ridiculous, almost storm combo burn deck, jump into some games, and see just how good Virtue of Courage can be in standard. So our key card, the reason we're playing this deck, Virtue of Courage, which is like the perfect card for a burn deck. It's Adventure Mode, 2 mana to shock something, 2 damage to any target, which is a little overcosted, but it's okay. More importantly, it's also a 5 mana enchantment. This is whenever a source we control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, we get to exile that many cards from our library and play them this turn. So this is a bad shock that is also an almost unbeatable late game card advantage engine. And our deck is overloaded with ways to deal non-combat damage. So alongside our Embereth Blaze, we have Play with Fire, Lightning Strike, Stroke the Flame. These are all just good burn cards. We can kill our opponent's small creatures, throw them in our opponent's face to close out the game. And then in the late game, once we have Virtue of Courage, these cards are ridiculous. Like Lightning Strike is drawing us 3 cards for the turn, Play with Fire 2 cards. So this leads to these weird storm style combo turns where we play Virtue of Courage and we untap and we Lightning Strike and draw 3 cards and hopefully hit some more burn and cast the burn and draw more cards and just burn our opponent all the way out of the game. Also worth mentioning with Virtue of Courage, it works with any non-combat damage. So we're playing 4 copies of Kessig Flame Breather and Thermal Alchemist, which are creatures that just deal a damage whenever we cast a non-creature or instant or sorcery spell. So these cards are also going to draw us cards with Virtue of Courage, and they give us even more damage as we're casting our burn spells. We also got a bunch of just card draw and Rent's Resolve and Reckless Impulse. They help in the early game. Once we have Virtue of Courage, they're not as important because we already have more card advantage than we could ever possibly need. But in the early game, these are churning us through our deck, finding our pieces, and triggering our Flame Breathers and Thermal Alchemists. Otherwise, we got a couple of 1-drops to chip in for early damage. Monastery Swiftspear gets big as we're casting spells. Kamano faces Kazan, actually really good in this deck. It flips into a 2/2 eventually, but it's also kind of a burn spell. It deals 1 damage and grows our creatures. Otherwise, a couple of Witchstalker's Friends are 1 burn spell that can't go face, but importantly, it deals 5 damage. So this is essentially our Shieldred answer. Shieldred would be a problem for our deck if we didn't have a way to kill it. Mana base is simple as simple can be, 22 mountains. If you want to upgrade, some Mishra's Foundries would be a nice addition to this deck. As far as the sideboard, it's pretty much all removal customization. Lithomantic Barrage for white and blue decks, Obliterating Bolt for Witchstalker's Frenzy to deal with bigger creatures, Vampire's Vengeance is a sweeper, Bloody Betrayal, we can steal a big creature, smash our opponent when they get a blood token. Furnace Punisher can just come down and punish mana bases with a lot of non-basics, although honestly, I rarely actually sideboarded in. And that is 4 rare Virtue of Courage burn for standard. That's our Budget Magic deck for this week. So let's jump into some games and see just how good burn can be in standard on just a 4 rare budget thanks to Virtue of Courage. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the gameplay, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Want to give today's deck a try yourself? Well, you can snag all the cards you need from our sponsor Card Kingdom over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish, or just go to the deck list page. It's linked in the description of this video. Click from the Buy from Card Kingdom button, and you can have all of the cards in just a few clicks for just $40. Budget Magic time. We are playing some 4 rare Virtue burn in Wilds of Eldraine Standard. Seeing just how good. Oh boy, this hand. Are we keeping this? Only 1 land, but we can play with Fire Scry for lands, and we have a lot of burn. I think we do keep this. Land, and yeah, let's faces. There's probably some argument to play with firing to try to hit a land. Ugh, another Rent's Resolve. Well, this is a hand that's gonna go off eventually, hopefully, if we're still alive. We're definitely gonna play with fire to find a land, and if we whiff, we're gonna play with fire upkeep, because we really need land number 2. Hopefully we just hit a land here. Hitch, Swiftspear is so good, but we need a land more. Well, play with fire. Mountain, one time. Virtue, okay, you also have to go bottom. Oh, okay. We're good. We hit a land. So we're playing Magic. Opponent's down to 15, maybe 13 if they don't have removal. Now we should be fine. With double Ren's Resolve, we should be able to hit our lands, hopefully. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Where's our lands? Where are our lands? Well, there's one. Well, okay. Play the land. Flame Breather better than Alchemist here because it triggers off faces. Ping, yeah. We're not making this look easy because we're really struggling to hit land. Wow, Terra Sunder the Flame Breather. That is a expensive way to kill a 1/3. Well, opponent's down to 13. We'd actually kind of like to hit a creature, I think. Good news is our opponent's really not... All right, another Terra Sunder. Our opponent's really not doing anything. Ooh, Swift Spear. All right, so play the Swift Spear. Ren's Resolve. See if we can find some lands. Play with Fire well, no, we still didn't find lands, but we get to draw more cards next turn. And our opponent is down to 11, and we technically have 8 points of, whoa, Tyrant of Cure Ridges to kill. Wow, they have had to spend very expensive removal spells on not very good cards. Hit ya. Land, we're gonna keep it. A little awkward because we'd rather play the land off the Reckless Impulse, but opponent's at 9. Yeah, I think we Impulse. Land and Flame Breather. Wow, this is going to be super close. Hopefully they don't start attacking with that creature land and making food. If they start gaining life, we are in trouble. Every food undoes a lightning strike. Okay, Invasion of Tarkir. Well, I mean, our opponent's going to kill us in 2-ish turns. Hits us to 17. So wow, another Tyrant too. So this is like Jund Dragons? That's spicy. So I assume our opponent's going to flip. We don't die next turn though. So we just have to kill our opponent in 2 turns. Ooh, Face is actually pretty good here. Does that do it? So we get to play Flame Breather. Faces hits for 2 because of Flame Breather, so opponent goes to 7. Wow, I think that's gonna do it. All right, Terra Sunder, sure, whatever, that's fine. And then Lightning Strike hits for 4 and Lightning Strike hits for 3. So the way our opponent can stay in this game, okay, well, okay, we're good. The way they could have stayed in the game is actually making a food with their creature land. I am so glad our opponent had an expensive dragon to play. If they had nothing in hand, they probably beat us. Because then they would fire up the creature land and make a food and gain 3. But now we get to Lightning Strike, our opponent, down to 3. Lightning Strike in hand. Yeah, we go to 5. Wow, could they have also killed us there? I feel like we got very lucky. Oh no, they played the Tyrant. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Wow, that was close. Opponent's playing dragons, which means lots of big creatures, which means Bloody Betrayal seems good. Do we care about removal that can kill the dragons? Play with Fire doesn't seem like it kills much. We can trim an Alchemist. Let's just run it like that. Hopefully, so the thing is, our opponent does have a lot of 4 and 5 toughness creatures, but they seem slow. So hopefully, if we stay efficient, we just burn them out before they start playing their big thing. Oh, this hand is much better. We would take this hand 10 times out of 10, I think. Wow, opponent scoops out. Okay, well, our opponent wasn't going to beat that hand anyway. Well, no virtuing though, sadly. Next time. Well, this hand doesn't have Virtue of Courage, but it is a very good bird hand. Faces on 1, grow Flame Breather on 2, and then we can start drawing cards and playing with fire. Opponent. Ooh, Soldiers A. I haven't seen Soldiers much since non-rotation. Flame Breather, get the counter. One of the nice things about Flame Breather off Faces is it actually is big enough to not get cut down, which is kind of a big deal. Okay, opponent thought about attacking. Well, flip the Saga. And let's Ren's Resolve first. See if we had a land. Double Faces, golly. Resolute Reinforcements, sure. I mean, if our opponent wants to, like, double block etchings. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Well, double chumping is an option. I'm pretty sure I would have went Spectrum Sentinel plus 1/1 on the etchings, but opponent. I feel like Soldiers is probably a good matchup because we just have we have all this face burn, but it can also it can also hit our opponent's creatures. So like Harbin, we just have a million ways to kill it. The question is, how much do we kill? And our opponent has shown a propensity for chump blocking. And let's Reckless Impulse, see if we can hit a land, ping you down to 14. Ooh, land and Virtue. Yeah, we gotta play the Faces or we're gonna lose it. So play the Faces, ping you. Now I think we just go to combat and attack and see how our opponent blocks. Okay, they're just gonna trade with the Recruitment Officer, that's fine. Do we even need to kill the Harbin at this point? Yeah, let's do it. Harbin does scare me. If they can like somehow untap and start countering our stuff and keep Harbin, that's a way we could lose. Plus, like, our opponent's at 9. We have Flame Breather, we have Virtue, we have... Wow, Night Aaron of Eos off one creature. Not a great night. Ooh, okay. I don't think we win this turn, but I am pretty sure we win in 2 turns. Flame Breather, counter. Embereth Blaze for 4 thanks to the Flame Breathers. Yeah, I mean, we'll just pass. We have Stoke the Flame, which is super duper ultra lethal. Well, part of the power of Virtue of Courage. So 2 sets ago, we played a burn deck with Urbrask. Well, yeah, we can win this in any number of ways, but the easiest is probably just Stoke the Flame our opponent's face. But let's have fun. We can still Stoke the Flame. Let's run through yourself. Pinga. We can't pass up the opportunity to draw cards. Play the land, play with fire, hitting for 4. An opponent scoops it up. So a few sets ago, we played a budget Urabras burn deck. Vampire's Vengeance seems good. Lithomantic Barrage seems absurd. The only question is, like, how much face burn do we go down to bring in Barrage? Like, Barrage is just 1 mana. It's 1 mana terminate. Can't even be countered. I guess we just trim. Yeah, let's run it like that. So a couple of sets ago, we played a Urbrask burn deck. One of the issues we ran into is that Urbrask, as powerful as it is, gets stuck in your hand a lot. 4 mana is a lot for a burn deck. One thing I love about Virtue of Courage, well, it sounds really good. One thing I love about Virtue of Courage is it's a 2 mana shock. It's like Bone Crusher Giant. So unlike something like Urbrask or Soltham, it doesn't actually get stuck in your hand. Like, the 2 mana shock is not efficient, but it's not that bad for standard burn. So we get the value out of it, and then it's also the Urbrask or the Soltham, this late game payoff. So if we never actually get to the 5 mana mode, it really doesn't matter. That's like free upside on this card. So I think this really changes the equation compared to past versions. Are we attacking here? They could have flash creatures. We already saw, Zephyr Sentinel. We already saw Resolute Reinforcements. We might end up killing this Zephyr Sentinel, though. Should be able to get good value out of this Vampire's Vengeance eventually. So opponent's gonna pick up the Recruitment Officer. Yeah, let's just Embereth Blaze the Zephyr Sentinel. Get our value out of our Virtue. And now, if we get to 5 mana, we should be able to do really cool things. Opponent, land Recruitment Officer. Returns. And Skrelv, sure, don't really care. Ooh, another Swift Spear. Let's just sweep the board. We don't really want our opponent to start recruiting. Next turn, they could actually have the mana to do recruitment things. Plus, they could Convoke off of it. Opponent, land, passes. That's kind of brutal. Well, Monastery Swift Spear. Oh, I shouldn't have played that land. Impulsively played the land. Hopefully we don't get punished. As long as we don't hit double land. Okay, that's fine. And then Faces, and we actually have the mana. Oh, we were winning too quickly. We have the mana for Virtue. Oh, are you gonna jump block us? Okay. I mean, I'm rooting for winning, but I also really want to see how good Virtue of Courage is. So next turn, pretty sure we're gonna play Virtue of Courage. Opponent, Recruitment Officer, sure. Night Aaron of Eos, sure. Well, now we're definitely gonna play Virtue of Courage, and then we can see if we can just like storm off the next turn. We have a lot of, I mean, our opponent's at 14, but all of our non-combat damage draws us cards for the turn now. Next turn should be pretty sweet. All right, another Recruitment Officer, sure. Opponent gonna hit us for 4, yup. I mean, I think our current game plan is just kinda storm off. So we draw another Virtue, we flip our Saga. Well, let's do fun things. So, play with Fire Your Face. Pump the Swift Spear. We don't even need Reckless Impulse anymore. Our Virtue of Courage, all of our burn spells are Reckless Impulses. Okay, Virtue, land and land. All right, not great. We do kind of want to save a damage spell for next turn, maybe. Hopefully we hit damage that we can cast from exile, because we want to restart another land to the bottom. Draw 2. So hopefully we hit a burn spell here. That would be very nice. Thermal, well, okay, that's fine. Also worth mentioning, Virtue of Courage. Yeah, play Flame Breather, play Thermal Alchemist. Virtue of Courage is any non-combat damage, which means Thermal Alchemist taps to draw us a card. Keswick Flame Breather pings to draw us a card. So next turn, we should certainly win the game. I don't know how we do not win the game next turn. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. Hits us for 4. I mean, it doesn't really matter what our opponent does. So, ping you. Draw a card. Best Alchemist ever. When this is tap, draw a card and deal a damage, we hit a mountain. Well, play the mountain. Virtue of Courage. Embereth Blaze. Ping ya. So, 2 mana, 2 damage, draw 4. Maybe Virtue's just better than Bone Crusher Giant. Maybe. I mean, no, that overall that's not true, but this is actually kind of absurd. Draw, and then tap, ping you, draw a card. Okay, Virtue of Courage is actually, like, spectacular. Lithomanic Barrage. Well, we will kill your Knight Errant of Eos, or make you pick it up, doesn't really matter. Wait, this is kind of like storming off. It feels like we're storming off here in Standard. Untaps the Alchemist, pings you, we draw a card with Virtue, yes. We're just, like, drawing our deck. Ping you with Alchemist. Down to 4, draw a card. Oh, this is so good. And then Embereth Blaze. Ping ya. Don't even need to draw the cards. And, okay. This Virtue of Courage card might actually be pretty good. Wow. Wow, maybe Virtue is actually very strong. We get the Shock Bone, then we also get that powerful enchantment. Yeah, that was a good one. We got a bunch of burn and a bunch of card draw. This seems fine. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we might actually have too much card draw this hand. Opponent, Mountain, Gruul, a bloodthirsty adversary. Yeah, we're just gonna kill it. Our opponent's gotta be like mono red or something. Well, play the Mountain, play the Flame Breather. Mono red splashing green. Oh god, Miglaws. Well, that is an annoyingly big creature. Ping ya. Draw a land and a Virtue. Play the land. Oh, if our opponent follows us up with another big creature, we might be in trouble. We need to find a removal spell that can actually kill this. I guess we can like Lightning Strike plus Virtue, but that feels so bad. Oh no, Invasion of Ixalan. Oh, this is slipping away. Opponent. Oh. No, that's another 4/4. I think our opponent has found our weakness, which is creatures with a lot of toughness. Well, play the land. This feels so bad. I think our only realistic shot of winning, and I don't even know how realistic it is, but is probably storming off with Virtue. The problem is our hand is, we have drawn so many Reckless Impulses. Reckless Impulse in Ren's Resolve really good, but we don't usually want to draw 4 in the first like 3 turns. Faces. This is a weird, so this is like Gruul. I don't know if it's aggro or mid-range, but it is crushing us, literally, with Miglaws. Living up to its name, we draw Lightning Strike. I mean, I think we're pretty dead here. Monastery Swiftspear, Reckless Impulse. No land and another. Wow, we've hit I think we've hit 5 of the 6 Reckless Impulses and Ren Resolves. Well, let's get in at the Arlen. Opponent's gonna block. So they have another 4/4. I think we gotta keep Swiftspear alive, do we? We could kill the Arlen. The Arlen doesn't do anything this turn though, right? Not really. It comes down, it makes the 2/2/2s, but then until it flips, it doesn't do much. All right, so kill the wolves. Opponent. Arlen ticks up. So, I mean, I guess it kind of does something. It puts... Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, those are some big boys. Yeah, I think we're just dead. So, Removal that kills big things. Bloody Betrayal also seems good. Obliterating Bolt. What do we cut? Probably the traditional, like, normally can trim like a Ren's Resolve, can trim a Thermo Alchemist, maybe a Play with Fire since it doesn't really kill much. That's most of sideboarding with this deck, is just like cutting a few things around the edges to customize the removal mostly. We're going to be on the play for game number 2. I don't think it can go worse than that game did because we got roundly smacked. That was not even close. Why is there a plus sign on our mouse? Well, okay, Zero Lander. Yeah, let's put Bloody Betrayal to the bottom. So the question for this hand is very simple. Do we draw land number 2? If so, this hand's not bad, especially for a 6. If no... Okay, that's not a land. All right, hit ya. Ooh, I mean, I think we had to keep this on 6. Going to 5 on the play, we're just not gonna have enough action. Ugh, okay. Get in with the Swift Spear. Opponent lightning strikes. Untaps. Flips a Saga. Goes attacking. Come on, no Miglaws or whatever. Oh, this might just be over. All right, also not a land. Well, Magic. Sometimes you play it, sometimes you don't. I guess yeah, this one's so over. We could have mulled to 5, but I think this keep was fine with the Ren's Resolve. We just had to hit a land in our first, like, 2 or 3 turns. We finally got defeated by Gruul of all things. All right, another one-lander. We never learn. This hand is so good, though. Like, this hand, we have 3 1-drops. If we hit a land, this is like the dream draw. If we don't hit a land, well, okay, that's not a land. I'll play the faces, trigger Swift Spear. If we hit a land, this hand goes off. Again, 3 Reckless Impulses. They're so good when we can cast them and chain things together. All right, land. Land, please? No. Well, Swift Spear. And go attacking. 1 land, 1 keep. For the first time ever is failing us. Opponent. Forest. Land, Warloam Speaker. Grooves of Adaptive. Sure. And, ooh, gets to fight our big Swift Spear. Okay. I mean, if we draw land... My God. Not again. I mean, we're not a land-heavy deck. We're playing 22 lands. Really, we need 2 lands. If we get 2 lands, we turn on all of our Reckless Impulses and so forth and hit the rest of our lands. Getting stuck on exactly 1 land is still Uvenwald Oddity. We need them to attack with the Loam Speakers. And yeah, we're just... There's no way we can get out of this at this point. All right, I promise you, we will play Magic. This video, it will happen. The deck was performing so well too until these double 2-in-a-row Manascure games. Apparently, not having lands makes it hard to win at Magic. So same plan as last match, really. Bring in the stuff that's good against big creatures, Bloody Betrayal, Witchstalker's Frenzy, and trim some of the smaller removal in the Thermo Alchemist. In general, Thermo Alchemist is worse than Kessig Flame Breather. So if you're choosing between the two, Thermo goes first. Well, 4 lands is more than we want, but after the last 2 games, we're gonna keep it and trust that it works out. Opponent, Forest, and Evolved Adaptive. Well, I like Virtue of Courage. 4 lands, that's one of the upsides. Like, Virtue is kind of our flat-out protection. Now having 4 lands is actually kind of appealing because it means at some point we're gonna play this Virtue and hopefully storm off. Well, play the land, go attacking. Another Virtue and a Reckless Impulse. Our opponent is off to a much less scary start this game. Opponent, Forest. Wow, opponent is off to a non-existent start this game. Reckless Impulse, trigger Swift Spear. Play the land, and Embereth Blaze. Hit ya. The only problem is our opponent's dying so quickly, we might not get our Virtue value. All right, Uvenwald Oddity. Oh, this is actually tough. I think we have to not play Virtue this turn, as much as that pains me. Play the Swift Spear, kill the Oddity. Lightning strike your face. I mean, this is an example, though, of why Virtue's fine. Like, it's triggering our stuff, it's dealing damage. Even if we never cast it, it already did its job. So this game, we're gonna win with double Virtue and Exile, and that's perfectly fine. Pelukrinos. Pelukrinos flipped would probably beat us, but fortunately, we have multiple ways of winning here. All right, that went much better. That went much better. Life is better when you have more than one land. That is the lesson of this game. All right, on to game 3. I think we just run it back. All right, this is a good hand. Multiple answers to big creatures is nice. And we got the Virtues for the late game. No card draw. Wouldn't mind hitting like a Ren's Resolve. This would be a nice hand for a Ren's Resolve. Opponent, Llanowar, Loam Speaker. Do we have to Obliterating Bolt that? Probably. Let's attack first. Maybe our opponent gets greedy and blocks and we can kill it with a Virtue. All right, opponent wisely does not block. Well, it does hurt a little bit to have to spend an Obliterating Bolt on a Loam Speaker, but do what we gotta do. Pelukrinos. Well, thankfully, we do have this Witchstalker's Frenzy. There's our lands. Playing the land. I guess we attack. If our opponent blocks, we can kill Pelukrinos with a Play with Fire. That would be a win. Well, in that case, let's just hit your face. Keep the mountain. All right. I mean, opponent's down to 13. This Bloody Betrayal could be very good. Aquarium Beastcaller. Oh, God. Okay, so. Kill the Pelukrinos. Get it out of here. Do we kill the Beastcaller? We'll see. By itself, it's not very scary. Opponent finds a land. Oh, Gala Greeters. Okay. Now we got to kill the Beastcaller. Yeah, maybe we should have just done that to get in one more damage. That might be a punt. We would have been +1 damage if we killed that during our turn. And a Armored Scrap Gorger. And makes a treasure. Well, Embereth Blaze. Get rid of the Gala Greeter. Well, hit ya. Down to 9 past the turn. Evolved Adaptive. Okay. Uvenwald Oddity. Sure. So opponent gets to exile something. We will kill the Adaptive. Opponent exiles. Stays on defense. So we Bloody Betrayal the Oddity and hit for 6. Puts our opponent to 3. We could also just Witchstalker it. Hold on to the Bloody Betrayal. Yeah, I think we just gotta do it. I mean, this puts our opponent to dead to a lot of things. And it gives us a blood token. Down to 3. So we're a lightning strike away from lethal. Opponent. Oh no. Titan of Industry. Oh, I was not expecting that. Now we might be dead. Double Flame Breather. Opponent goes to 8. Triple Flame Breather. Is there any way we can win from here? Oh, I think there is something we could have done differently that game. I feel like probably should have been more aggressive instead of leaving up removal for our opponent's turn. That might have made a difference. And now we just die. 8, 16, 23. So we have to double chump, and then there's just no way. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it would have made a difference, but I think we left like 1 or 2 points of damage on the table. All right. This hand's pretty good. Opponent who Esper A. Okay. Well, phases ping ya. So control could be Rafine. Obscura Storefront. Obscura Storefront makes it more likely it's like mono white, actually. Mono white splashing something. I don't know how this goes. Opponent gets a plains. Well, play the land, play the Flame Breather. Get the counter past the turn. Triple Faces is pretty aggro. That life gain from the Storefront. Cheaty lands. Too strong. That like undoes a Faces trigger. Another one! Oh god. Opponent has found the answer to our burn deck. The Streets of New Capenna fetch lands. Secret Tech. Spirited Companion draws a card. Sure. Ooh, Virtue of Courage is sweet. We were hoping to draw the Virtue. I'll play the land. I don't think we could burn the Spirited Companion. I don't think we're going to, though. Opponent blocks, goes to 19. The question is, how much do we have to play around sweepers? Play the faces, ping ya. We're very incentivized to play stuff while we have Flame Breather. Yeah, ping ya. We also have this virtue to keep in mind that we want burn left over in hand once we play it to draw cards. Wandering Emperor would be a little wedding announcement. Oh, that is perfectly fine. Oh, lay down arms, all right. Well, play with fire while it's a lightning bolt with a scry. Mountain to the bottom. We draw Thermo Alchemist. Well, play Thermo Alchemist. Get some counters. The biggest Thermo Alchemist of all time. Get in for 2. So we got our opponent down to 10. We have Virtue in hand. Can hit our opponent. Oh, just kidding. Opponent's still at 12. They're going to chump. We have Virtue in hand. Can hit our opponent to 10. Do we just fire off the Virtue? Probably. I feel like we need to fire off the Virtue so we can get the value out of it. Because if we draw land, we really want to play the enchantment side. All right, opponent gonna do some ambitious farming, sure. Snags a plains, yeah, and plays it, and okay. Well, I would rather have our opponent Lauren now and blow up this etchings than blow up our Virtue of Courage. Let's wait one more turn. Witchtalker's Frenzy. Well, flip our sagas. The upside of waiting on Virtue is, well, we didn't draw the land anyway, so it definitely worked out. But now we get a damage out of the Thermo Alchemist. So ping ya, full control, go to combat, attack. Witchstalker's Frenzy, get rid of the Lauren. Untap Thermo Alchemist. Opponent, probably gonna chump based on what they did last time. Yeah, chumps and chumps, sure. Pass the turn. This turn we're definitely gonna Virtue. Ooh, Sunfall. Okay, well, ping ya, down to 10. Virtue, down to 8. Untap, down to 7. Well, in our dream world, we go land into, like, Lightning Strike or something. 7's not that much. Well, okay, there's the Lightning Strike. I mean, we're at 23, so we got a couple turns at the moment, even with our opponent turning on this Incubator. So we're only taking 6. Down to 17. Come on, no follow-up. Okay, that's good. Thermo Alchemist. We'll play the Alchemist. Alchemist, if it sticks and we untap, well, not only does it help us, yeah, maybe we shouldn't put that land to the bottom. Not only does it potentially let us win the game with 2 burn spells instead of 3, which is kind of huge, it also blocks this 2/2. So rather than dying in 3-ish turns, we have a lot more time. So at this point, assuming Thermo Alchemist lives, any burn spell is lethal. Taking advantage of their full clock at the moment. Wow, at the last possible second, our opponent ends our Thermo Alchemist. Sure. Disregard all those things I said about needing 1 burn spell to win. Opponent combat. This is gonna be close. This is gonna be super close. Opponent gets in, hits us. I think we actually mostly want to land. Virtue of Courage is probably still our ideal play here. All right. Well, play the land Virtue of Courage. If our opponent has Lauren, I am going to actually cry. And then we see if the Lightning Strike gets us there. So Lightning Strike, we get a draw for our turn. Lightning Strike's a draw 3. We need to piece together 4 points of damage. And any burn spells draw us more cards. So hopefully we just storm off and win. All right. If they blow us up, I'm going to be so disappointed. Even if we lose, that's still fine. Just don't blow it up. I want to see how many cards we can draw. Our opponent should know. Don't go after my card draw. Ooh, Wandering Emperor. No, it doesn't really change things. I wonder if our opponent would consider exiling one of their own creatures to gain life. They probably should. But, okay, opponent passes. Well, here we go. Lightning Strike. Hit you to 4. Faces is a redraw in 1 damage. So we need a Lightning Strike. So opponent goes to 4. We get to draw 3. Come on, Virtue. Come on, Virtue. Show him your power. Land, play with fire. Okay, play with fire is good. That's a draw 2. So play with fire. Down to 2, land definitely to the bottom, draw 2 with Virtue, come on, oh, landed Reckless Impulse. So Faces draws 1, and it needs to beat any single point of damage. The other option is Reckless Impulse, but then we'd have to hit exactly Play with Fire. So I think Faces is, it all comes down to this. Opponents at 1. Come on, Virtue of Courage. I've been speaking highly of you. This is your chance to show how good you are. Ping, and 1 card. It is, man, the Wandering Emperor did matter. That Vigilant token is just enough. And we stormed him down to 1. I mean, I think we did low roll a little bit. We hit a lot of lands out of those draws. That was a ridiculously close game. Good news is, we get a bunch of Lithomantic Barrages, which is super good against our opponent's deck. Virtue was still impressive. Like, it didn't quite get there, but that was still a very impressive Virtue game. It draws so many, I love this card. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's so good. And it's just like super fun. Who doesn't want to draw a bunch of cards when you're casting Lightning Strikes and Play with Fires? Or tapping Thermo Alchemist? All right, we're definitely playing first. All right, well, we have the Virtue, but hopefully this hand just kills our opponent before we even get to the Virtue stage of the game. Like, turn 1 Faces, turn 2 Swift Spear, plus Faces number 2. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. This way we get the counter. So we give up 1 damage right away, but we get a permanent +1/+1 counter. So we get the damage back next turn anyway. Opponent with the tap land. Thermo Alchemist. Well, I think we got to stick to the original plan. Monastery Swift Spear with a counter. Faces number 2. Hit you for 3. And triple 1-drop. And the Virtue in hand if the game goes long. Opponent needs something here already. They need, like, removal, maybe? They could have, like, black removal. We saw the N. They could have other black removal. Lay down arms. All right, lay down arms. Indeed. Well, we draw Lightning Strike, which is fine. At least it's damage. Well, let's play Thermo Alchemist. Get the counter. Play the Mountain. Ooh, they cut down the Thermo Alchemist. Interesting. Interesting. More worried about the damage it'll deal eventually than the etchings damage. All right, Wedding Announcement. A little slow here, I hope. Friends Resolve is probably worth casting. Hopefully we hit a land. Swift Spear, Reckless Impulse. Well, no land, but we could play a Swift Spear. Hit you for 3. Hit you for 3, down to 10. Ambitious Farmhand. All right, so next turn our opponent is going to have Sunfall mana. They get 2 chump blockers, so we can't really kill them this turn. Huh. All right, Wedding Announcement does its thing. There's the land. Well, Reckless Impulse. Trigger. Swift Spear, land. We might actually just do nothing. We could play the Swift Spear. The problem is we know our opponent's a Sunfall deck. Next turn, they're going to Sunfall if they have it. So I think we actually just hold on to this Swift Spear. We could get an extra damage by playing it now, but I think it's better to hold it. Oh, all right. Maybe they don't have Sunfall. Go for the throw. It's funny how much the exile on those etchings actually ends up being annoying. Like, even for our opponent's deck, like, they have ways of getting back their things. Oh, wow, and they Sunfall. Well, that makes that go for the throw better for us. Maybe they just top decked it. Well, okay, let's see what we find. Do we Virtue so we can cast the enchantment mode? Nah, we really got to cast the Swift Spear. We don't want to lose it. So play the Swift Spear, play the land. Lithomantic Barrage. Get rid of the token. Embereth Blaze. We have learned we are casting things main phase to get in as much damage as possible. Hit you down to 5. Well, let's see what our opponent has. Ooh, Wandering Emperor. Okay. That is probably our opponent's best answer here because it's going to gain him life. Yeah. Snipes the Swift Spear. Well, okay. Virtue of Courage, take 2. Last game, we ended up 1 point of damage short. 1 point. Opponent's going to flip the incubator. Oh, this is actually the exact same life total. 2 point was at 7. They were at 7 last game. We had the Lightning Strike in hand. We ended up 1 point of damage short. Let's see if it goes different. Please don't blow it up. Roadside Relic, we're gonna draw 2. We know they have Lawrence. Hits us down to 19. Ooh, all right, opponent passes. Ooh, and a Stoke the Flame. Well, let's play Flame Breather. Lightning Strike for 4. So we get 4 draws. We need any burn spell again. All right, draw from the Flame Breather. It's a land. Draw 3 from the Lightning Strike. Yes, land, faces. So many lands. Well, Virtue of Courage, very good at letting us hit our land drops, that's for sure. We do get another draw here. 2 more draws here, actually. So we're still live to hit a Play with Fire or another Faces. Stoke the Flames, can't cast that. Ping ya. Come on, Virtue, come on. Not again, 1 point short. Hey, okay, this time we got there. That was close, I thought we were gonna fail again. Almost like last game we got up to 1 point and could not find that last spell to close it out. Virtue is just a really cool card to play, and I love how cheap this deck is to put together. Like, it literally is just the 4 Virtues, everything else mostly commons, a few uncommons, but it is about as cheap as you're gonna find for a deck that actually feels like pretty competitive and is fun. Every time I play a burn deck, I have fun. It's funny because that is not what I'm associated with. Mostly I love dirtling and panharmonicons, but every time I just like play a burn deck, it's always a blast. Sometimes it's just fun to kill people. I don't know, mono white splashing black, Orzhov, I guess. I don't know how you classify a deck like this, because it's the mono white deck splashing a color, kind of like the mono white deck splashes blue for counters. This one's splashing black for removal. And really good. Play the land, play the faces, triple 1-drop, Lithomantic Barrage if our opponent finds something, and a Flame Breather. This hand can deal some damages. Opponent plays a tap land. Play the Mountain, play the Swift Spear. I think we attack first. Our opponent could have cut down. If we play the faces, they can cut down in response. Oh, this is a blowout. This is a blowout. Play with fire. We'll keep the Ren's Resolve, glow the Swift Spear, fizzle the cut down, and that is potentially just a game-swinging line. Opponent, wow, land go. Flip the faces. Play the land. Let's Ren's Resolve, actually. See if we hit a land. All right, we do. And a Ren's Resolve. Well, play the land. Play the faces. Go attacking. About it. Down to 7, and this might be a quick one. Opponent. Land. All right, Wandering Emperor is a good answer. That gives our opponent a shot. Lithomantic Barrage. Well, let's play Flame Breathe. Well, Flame Breather, land Ren's Resolve. Ren's Resolve in case we hit a land Flame Breather. Yeah, I think we Flame Breather first. Like, we are potentially going to waste a land if we double land Ren's Resolve, but the damage is more important. Ping ya. Land, play with fire. Do we kill Wandering Emperor? I think we actually don't. Like, worst case, it makes it 2-2. And we have 2 Lithomantic Barrages, so we don't actually really care. It can't gain life this turn, and that's the only thing we really care about. So there's the 2-2. Whew, another Wandering Emperor. All right. So opponent goes to 8. Do we still have lethal? We flip, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, we definitely have lethal. So we flip our Saga. Lithomantic Barrage, kill the blocker, ping ya down to 7. And then Lithomantic Barrage, kill Wandering Emperor, ping ya down to 6. Play with fire, down to 4, down to 3, and well, we played 2 really close, interesting long grinding games, and then this one, even with double Wandering Emperor, we just ran him over. Well, mono red. Deck feels pretty sweet. I like this deck. But we'll talk about that in the wrap up. Be right back. So what did we learn this week about 4 rare Virtue of Courage burn in Standard? And overall record-wise, we went 3-2, which is a fine record for a budget deck. Although I will say, if you look at our losses, we kind of got stomped more or less fairly by the Gruul deck. But really, most of our losses came due to mana struggles, which is partly just kind of getting unlucky, and partly maybe we could have mulliganed a little bit more, but the deck felt very, very solid overall. You get those fast aggro games where you're just like, play Swift Spears, and you play Kamano faces Kazan, and you just like kill your opponent super, super fast. And then Virtue of Courage really changes the equation for this deck, because the biggest issue with Burn is sometimes you don't quite get enough damage to close out the game, and you get your opponent down to like 5 or 7, and then your opponent stabilizes, and you just can't quite get your opponent down to 0. Virtue of Courage essentially fixes that problem all by itself. And I gotta say, the biggest upside of this card is definitely the adventure mode. So in the past, we've played like Urabras Burn or Soulfum Burn, these burn decks where I have this expensive like 4 or 5 mana payoff. And one of the things we found is while the deck functioned really well, the payoff was pretty clunky, because a lot of times we just couldn't get it on the battlefield, or we'd spend a turn to play and then it would die. Virtue of Courage really solves that issue because it's an adventure. Like a 2 mana shock is not exciting in our deck, but we're playing Standard. Burn in Standard isn't like that insane anyway, so it's not horrible by standards. And then in the late game, it can come down as an adventure and just close out the game. And we saw it do it multiple times, where this was like the engine that just churned through our deck and let us finish off our opponent once we got them kind of low on life. So the fact that this isn't going to get stuck in our hand like a Urabras would or a Soulfum would is a huge, huge upside. So Virtue of Courage itself really impressed me. Like the 2 mana shock mode was good enough that I didn't really care if we sometimes never cast the 5 mana enchantment. And then in the games when we did cast Virtue of Courage, the actual enchantment side, it was incredibly powerful. So if you're looking for a way to be aggressive and deal a bunch of damage and win a bunch of games on a super tight budget, I think this is actually a pretty sweet option for our new Standard format. So anyway, that is Virtue Burn, which is 4 rares for Wilds of Eldraine Standard. That's been our budget magic for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.